So, let's get into One Piece. So, one of the things we saw, well, obviously, the Straw Hats have gotten separated as we're getting in chapter 1062. Straw Hats are separated after, encountering the mechanized shark, who was then taken out by a large robot, and the driver of that large robot revealed herself to be Vegapunk, which then that, kicked off a whole flurry of theory videos and what have you, right? But we're seeing now that things are not what they seem to be, because now we're seeing that it's not actually Vegapunk.
Not the original.
Not the original Vegapunk. So that kind of, I try not to read too deeply into these things, because you always know that Oda has got something up his sleeve.
Yeah, and
somehow,
a coming possible showdown has been revealed.
Yes. Well, let's get into this first before we do that. So, this particular Vegapunk, she's called Lilith, which is apparently a personification of Vegapunk's, I guess, evil personality. Because he created these robots to kind of help him out because he does so much. And there's 7 of them.
I thought there were 6.
Was it 6?
I thought there were 6. Well, and the question is, did something happen to the original Vegapunk and this is how he split them, or is he controlling them from somewhere?
Right. So that is hard to tell, but
the way that it was described, I'm willing to say it's the latter. I think that the original Vegapunk probably still exists, but he's
right.
Controlling the 6 Vegapunk
right.
robots.
Right. They're called satellites of himself. So the satellites are Lilith, who is, personification of evil. Shaka is supposed to be, I think his. Yeah. So you got Vegapunk. Shaka is the number 1, is Punk 1. So a throwback to Punk Hazard, obviously. And he's supposed to be a good satellite. So then if you go to, and then Lilith is supposed to be the personification of evil. And then you've got...
you know what that's a reference to, right?
Yeah, the Apocrypha in the Bible. Right?
Yeah, where Lilith was supposedly the first.
Yeah, was Adam's second wife. Yeah.
No, Adam's first wife. Eve was supposed to be the second wife.
Oh.
Which I really don't. Sometimes reading into certain things that aren't there, it's just like, don't do that. Like, just read the Bible. Let's we're reading. Let's not get off.
We're reading too deep here. Okay,
let's not get off on that tangent.
Edison, which we know who that's named after. Edison is his thinking aspect. So
his logical side, right?
Right. Kind of bringing in logic. You got Pythagoras, who's the wisdom.
Pythagoras, you mean?
What?
Pythagoras, you mean?
Yeah. Then you've got Atlas, who's an aspect of violence. And then York is greed. Now, York... Well, yeah, the only thing that the wiki has listed for trivia is the England and then the state and the city. So, nothing much out of that. So, they're kind of going around and, they're walking in his
They're the 4 personifications of his entire personality.
Right. So obviously they're walking around on his island now, because that's where they're at. And I think Matthew kind of just, what are we seeing, as far as when we're walking around? There's a lot of robots, obviously.
There's also a lot of what's it called?
I know, what was it? Holograms, I think.
Holograms.
Yeah, a lot of holograms.
A lot of inventions.
And then, of course, to the surprise of Luffy and Chopper and Bonnie, there is a food machine, so they get to eat plenty of food.
Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty much, and then
just chilling.
Right. They're chilling and they're trying to explain stuff, but then
it's really funny because Jinbei is pretty much the dad of the.
Jinbei is very level-headed.
Yeah, he's basically the dad of the Straw Hat Pirates now, kind of like how Robin is like the mom.
Right. Because
they're both level-headed.
Right. So here we go. As you said, we have the potentially big, and I mean big, rematch showdown coming up here, because on a ship going to the Egghead Island where Vegapunk is at, we've got CP0. And who do we have? Lucci, Stussy, and Kaku. And they're trying to take back a Seraphim, which is resembling Kuma. So, and
but that's not their primary mission.
Yeah, their primary mission is to eliminate Vegapunk.
Like, I'd really like to know what the world government thinks is going to happen.
Well,
Vegapunk is their golden goose.
Well, maybe. Well, yeah, because they're probably thinking that the Seraphim, which is what they created to replace the Shibukai.
Him specifically.
Right. Well, but those other two came up, remember, during the battle between the Blackbeard Pirates and the Marines and Amazon Lily?
Oh yeah, we know the Seraphim.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the Pacifistas and the Seraphim are kind of the same thing.
I think we can conclude that the Pacifistas were the prototypes of the Seraphim.
Right.
The Seraphim are the culmination of the Pacifista program.
Right. So you're probably right. The with the development of the Seraphim, the world government probably thinks that, now they got everything under control, they don't need Vegapunk anymore.
Which is a very foolish thing, because you're going to make him an ally of One Monkey D. Luffy.
Yep.
It becomes the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right. And of course, Lucci, even though he's a very cold-blooded killer and stuff, he kind of questions why the world government would want to take out. He's
logical. He knows this is not a smart decision.
Yeah, so and of course, obviously he's bringing up what happened at Leloucha, which we know, big time Im with the Rain of Fire.
I guess that's
but then Stussy and Kaku are telling him not to ask questions. So that's the part about being a world government agent, right?
There's speculation that this is going to be a Luffy Lucci rematch.
Of course, that's why we're getting into that now.
I doubt Lucci has improved enough to be a challenge to the Awakened.
Well, it's going to be interesting. So that kind of makes me wonder, because there's all these. Everybody is always theorizing about who is going to be the last villain that Luffy faces off against. Now, the obvious choice is Blackbeard, but you never can be too sure, because
or is it possible we're going to see a very weird Oh no, he wouldn't defect.
Who, Lucci? No, Lucci would not defect.
He's got it. he might have been hunted, but now he's part of CP0. He's not going to defect.
Yeah, he likes his profession too much to defect. But, I'm kind of going to go and say, hey, there might be the possibility that Lucci could be, because Luffy's had to fight so many people. Excuse me. So many strong opponents. Obviously, Blackbeard is the top tier candidate. And then, some people are saying, well, maybe he's going to take on, Sakazuki. Oh, yeah, Shanks, Sakazuki. I think Sakazuki, the way that the story is developing more and more, if you go back to when we had Marineford, yeah, Sakazuki, or shortly after Marineford, when Fishman Island, finished. Obviously, Sakazuki would have been the top choice for, everyone saying, hey, yeah, Luffy's going to fight him at the end. But I think as the story continues to be developed, I think I'm seeing that Sakazuki being the final villain is kind of falling off the wayside more and more as I'm reading the story.
You think he might be like a final opponent for maybe
for someone else? Maybe.
Like he could be like a final opponent for Dragon.
Possibly. But I'm almost wondering if maybe Dragon would be fighting, let's say the Gorosei. My guess, because here's another thing I'm going to guess, because Blackbeard is definitely an opponent for Luffy. But with Eam in the picture, Blackbeard may not be the final opponent for Luffy.
Blackbeard might be like a final opponent in like their battle.
Right. As far as the young.
Well, then on top of that, we don't know who or what Luffy's ultimate dream is, because we know that he wants to be the Pirate King, but he also has something else in mind that Oda is constantly keeping secret.
It's kind of like with what the One Piece actually is. Yeah, he's deliberately keeping it hidden until such a time that we're going to actually see what it is.
Yeah, so we know for a fact that the One Piece is not the end goal. Whatever is going to happen is going to whatever Luffy's end goal is after he finds the One Piece.
Because we're probably right. You would have thought at the beginning that finding the One Piece was going to end the series, but now that all these things are coming in, and I think Oda stated this: the discovery of the One Piece is going to trigger a war that goes beyond Marineford. Just think about the fact of the war that they had to fight on Wano, because that in itself was such an intense fight. And like Marineford, there were casualties. We saw that because, we had some major players who were named actually got killed off in the story. So the finding of the One Piece is going to be just the beginning of the final arc. There's the One Piece. Shueisha said that we're in the final arc. Yeah, how long is that going to be specifically, this final arc? Think about the fact that Wano took place over a 5-year period, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, no. Dressrosa and I think the second half of One Piece started in 2011. And then Punk Hazard happened, I think, in like 2013 or something like that. And you got to remember that Punk Hazard is the beginning of this, Wano Yonko saga. So this went over an 8 to 9 year period. this whole fight that happened. Lots to think about. You know, it's just so. One thing also, before we close out chapter 1062, is just this discovery. Because I'll tell you, when I read this, I was like, I kind of had my jaw dropped for about 5-10 seconds. Kuma is Bonnie's father.
I thought that was 163.
No, it comes up in this chapter.
Okay.
So Bonnie, and the reason why Bonnie is after Vegapunk is because he turned Kuma into, you know, the pacifista. So that's why she's obviously
the original pacifista.
Original pacifista. So she's trying to get.
She obviously doesn't know that Kuma's been retrieved by the revolutionaries.
Right. So we'll have to see.
He has some kind of autonomy back.
Right. So we'll have to see what happens.
That picture, he looked very different.
Oh yeah, because he was kind of messed up.
No. The picture of him with young Bonnie.
Yeah, seems like things happen. So if we get into chapter 1063, you know, Bonnie, Luffy, and Chopper, they're all done eating, and then Atlas has come by to kind of talk with them and stuff. And, you know, I kind of hear, you know, I'm not really going to go into details because it's all kind of developmental. So, you know, they're finding out more and more about what Vegapunk is doing and the thing with these robots that are, you know, the personifications of himself. But then they do have a pacifista who is Kuma, you know, who is supposedly Kuma but is not Kuma, is going to attack them. And Luffy's going to try and take him out, but then Bonnie stops him because she thinks that that's her father, which we know. And Luffy seems to know that this is not the real Kuma. But because she's traumatized by the fact that, you know, she knows that her dad, and, you know, they all look alike. So she's traumatized by the fact that, you know, her dad's not around. So she prevents Luffy from attacking. And then supposedly there's this explosion. Which ends
because the pacifista attacks.
Right. And that ends that particular part of the chapter. But we now shift to another narrative going on, Matthew. And as it turns out, there's another fight a-brewing. Right?
Yep. Law versus Blackbeard.
Yep. And so Blackbeard's just, well, obviously Blackbeard, he knows Law, so he's trying to get Law for his devil fruit. And they've got...
Unfortunately, the poneglyphs.
Right. Oh yeah, he's after the red poneglyphs that Law has because he knows he's got them because of the fight with Kaido and Big Mom. And let's see here. Apparently, I don't know who developed it, but they have a feminization weapon developed by it was developed by Doc Q. And he had infected the crew, heart pirates. So yeah. They were all starting to turn into women, but Law was able to nullify that.
With his hockey, right?
Right. But I guess this makes sense though. Doc Q being the I don't know if you'd call it, he's not a quack. What would he be? Kind of an evil doctor.
A mad scientist?
Mad scientist. Doc Q, yeah. So he's eaten a fruit called the Shiku no Mi. And according to the wiki, it allows him to craft and spread any kind of disease. So I'm very sure that Queen would have loved to get his hands on that.
Well, you know what that means. What's his name? The
sick fruit.
yeah. You know what that means? That means he's a natural matchup for Chopper. A Grand Line Review said this. He's a natural matchup for Chopper who wants to cure any disease. Every disease.
Well, I mean, Chopper certainly met his, obviously he didn't lose, but he certainly met his match in Queen, at least as far as the Wano arc went. Because Chopper had to really put some moves out there to make sure everyone didn't succumb to the Oni weapon. Right?
Yep.
So anyway, so that's Doc Q. So yeah, so what we're seeing now is that there's a lot of the Blackbeard pirates. We're starting to find out what their devil fruit powers are. So kind of, I'm almost kind of wondering if Doc Q already had this fruit, because remember when he was, back when they were at Jaya, and there was a person who ate one of his apples and the apple exploded. I'm wondering if he maybe inflicted the apple with a sickness.
Possible.
Yeah. So then you've got Van Alger and Jesus Burgess are there. And so their devil fruits are also revealed. Jesus Burgess this is not surprising. He ate the strong fruit, or riki fruit, which translates to strong in Japanese. So I'm not surprised that he did that. Then you've got Van Alger ate the warp fruit, so he can kind of it's the devil fruit version of Soru, basically. You just don't have to put that much effort into it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we're seeing this is it's starting to kind of develop that all of them are starting to eat fruits, and then obviously they gave a fruit to Stronger, which is the very sick horse of Doc Q. I'm almost thinking that's kind of a waste what they gave him, because it was a
unicorn.
No, they gave him the horse fruit model Pegasus.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on, man. A Pegasus, that's top tier, and they give it to a
sick horse.
So that confirms that an animal can eat the same type of fruit.
That it is.
This is the first case we're seeing this, where a horse ate a horse fruit and turned into a different type of horse. I mean, because we've got like the dog fruit, the cat fruit. What other? Oh, we've got the snake fruit. Kind of wondering what other ones that there are.
Ushimaro bison.
Yeah, you've got the Ushimaro. Yeah,
the falcon, jackal.
I think the jackal is a inu. Oh, and then you got the human, yeah. Right? And then you got the hito no mi.
Now I forgot, was Luffy's the hito model Nika?
Yes, he's the model Nika.
So what's Chopper? Is he a model something?
Chopper is just a standard hito, which is interesting. It's just a standard Onimaru. Who is Onimaru? Oh, Onimaru. That's right. All Nudo. So All Nudo is okay, yeah. And then obviously model Nika, which is the sun god.
Yeah, that's a mythical zone, right?
So obviously, Law is caught in this big battle with Blackbeard, and now he's on his own because he doesn't have Luffy with him. So it's just his crew against a Yonko and a few of his commanders, or a few of the 10 Titanic captains.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, his crew is.
Yeah, they're screwed.
He is. He is.
Unless
it's not like Luffy, where Luffy has very competent people in his crew. His crew. This is not gonna go well.
Right. Well, obviously Law is not going down without a fight.
But
that means that Law has no intention of joining Blackbeard. We know that. So we'll have to see what happens.
Well, Law had no intention of joining anybody.
Yeah.
His alliance with Luffy was
originally tended to be very short-lived because Law was going to leave Luffy's crew to their fate. He was originally because his original goal was to get Kaido mad at Doflamingo. He had no intention of completing the fight with Doflamingo, but things happened. Law got caught up in it, and he ended up having to fight Doflamingo, and then somehow the fight wasn't over, once, because now he had a target on his back and couldn't really finish. He would not have been able to get far if he had broken off the alliance. We know that for a fact. So that is where we're at, and it just makes the Blackbeard pirates a bit more menacing, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's well, it's funny because they started out kind of like but then it's like it's like first he went to Shibukai, and then he went in and he defeated Whitebeard, then he elevated to Yonko, and then it's like now we're actually getting to see how he was able to climb that ladder.
Right.